The people of Jellico, Tennessee came out for him on Saturday. Not because he was famous in the conventional sense. Not because he had a record deal or a film credit or a platinum album on his wall. But because he had shown up in their living rooms and in living rooms across America every single morning for years. With coffee. With his mother. With a warmth so complete and so genuine that 200,000 followers felt like they were part of the family. John Dewayne Davis, beloved co-host of Coffee Time with John and Momma, passed away on Wednesday, June 10, 2026, at his home in the Oswego community of Jellico, Tennessee. He was 55 years old. The funeral service was held at Harp Funeral Home Chapel in Jellico on Saturday, June 13, 2026. Visitation ran from 1:00 p.m. to 3:00 p.m., with the service beginning at 3:00 p.m., officiated by 3 pastors who knew John, men who had watched him live his faith not just on a screen, but in the community where he was born and raised and chose to stay. Burial followed at Douglas Cemetery in the Wooldridge community of Jellico, Tennessee. In lieu of flowers, the family asked for donations to Oswego Missionary Baptist Church, the congregation that was the spiritual foundation of everything John built online. Now the guest list, because the people who filled that chapel were not industry contacts or brand partners or verified social media personalities. They were neighbors, church members, the people of Campbell County who knew John before the camera was ever turned on, who called him Johnny, who sat beside him in a church pew, who watched him grow from a boy in Jellico into a man who decided, with his mother beside him, to share their daily life with anyone who wanted to be part of it. His mother, Frances Davis, known to every single one of their 200,000 followers as Mama, was there. Of course she was there. The woman who sat across from him every morning, who shared the coffee and the devotionals and the kitchen conversations and the prayers, who built something with her son that neither of them could have imagined when they first pressed record. She sat in the front row of the Harp Funeral Home Chapel and received the grief of an entire community and an entire online family who had loved her son through a screen and were now standing in front of her in person. Heather Lay, described in John's obituary as a special niece who was like a daughter, was there. Cousins who were like siblings. The extended family that Coffee Time viewers had heard about in passing, the names mentioned in morning conversations, the people referenced in the devotionals, now gathered in a chapel in Tennessee. And then the online community, who drove, some of them for hours, because when you watch someone have their morning coffee every single day, when their routine becomes part of your routine, when their faith becomes a daily touch point in your own faith, you show up for their funeral the way you show up for a family member's. One viewer wrote it exactly right. You both made me feel like I could have walked up to your door and sat down and drank coffee with both of you and just talk. That is what Coffee Time with John and Momma built. Not a brand, not a content strategy, a front porch, an open door. The specific, rare, completely genuine feeling that you were welcome, that the coffee was already on and there was a chair at the table with your name on it. He was a member of Oswego Missionary Baptist Church. He was 55 years old. He passed away suddenly at home following a medical episode during a live stream with his mother, the woman who had sat beside him for every morning of their show's run. She was with him when it happened. And then she was at the chapel on Saturday, still showing up, still present, still Mama because that is who she is, regardless of what Wednesday took from her. 3 pastors officiated. John was buried in Douglas Cemetery in the community he never left. The mountains of Campbell County held the service, and 200,000 people scattered across every state watched from wherever they were, holding their coffee cups, missing the man who made theirs feel like communion. John Dewayne Davis, March 29, 1971, June 10, 2026, aged 55. The coffee is still warm, John, and Mama is still at the table. Rest in peace. Thank you for watching.